Before we introduced Natasha and Jordan more formally and start asking some questions, I was just really sobered by that video from about the martyrs in Mumbai. Mumbai. And often we think of times where people going out to share the gospel have been killed, and we think back to Bible times, don't we? And we don't realise that still today, some 2 centuries or 2,000 years later, people are being killed for their faith. And that was a very dark day in Elim Missions. I would have only been 2 at the time, and it would never have registered with me. But I'm sure it would have made national news at the time. And thankfully, I don't think Japan's that dangerous. You should be okay. And we just need to hold the missionaries in our prayers. I've often said to God that I don't feel like a missionary abroad. However, if he does choose, I kind of like the sound of Hawaii. That sounds okay. Anywhere with snakes, crocodiles, spiders that can kill me, no. I'm not keen. We've got friends, they baptise in a river when they're baptising, and they have to have people on crocodile watch. And you think when we go to baptise in the River Trent next week, we've got problems. They have got bigger problems than that. They have to look out for crocodiles. So again, not a huge problem in Japan either, I don't think. So, Natasha, Jordan, it is fantastic to have you with us, and we love that you've made it over. How long have you been over this time?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
About 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks. How much longer have you got?
Just about a week and a half.
A week and a half.
Yeah.
You're beginning to fill your suitcase with all the food that you cannot get in Japan. Baked beans.
We've got baked beans.
So, yes, I know. I've had a couple of calls with Jordan and Natasha, and send baked beans is what they said. Yeah, it is great to have you with us. I know we've got a bit of a presentation. Do you want to talk us through the presentation first, and then I'll fire away with questions? How would you like to do it?
No, actually, you're if you're okay to just
fire away with the questions.
Yeah, fire away with the question, and the presentation goes with the questions.
Oh, excellent, superb. So, would you like to introduce yourself? Many of the guys here will know who you are. You've been with us before, and you came and shared before you headed off to Japan a couple of years ago. But you just want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit of your backstory, perhaps why Japan?
Yeah. So good morning, everybody. Yeah, we were here a couple of years ago, just before we left. So I'm Jordan. This is Natasha. Just in case you were confused. I'm Jordan, and yeah, we are full-time missionaries, Elim missionaries in Tokyo, Japan. We live in Tokyo. We have done for about 2 years now. We've been 11 years married this year, which is amazing.
Let's hope you got that right.
Yeah, I'm sure. And yeah, what we have been doing whilst we've been over there is with a small church, so about 20 or 30 people, just partnering with them and developing the church really. So we help set up a media team, we help set up a counselling ministry, youth ministry, kids ministry, and it's a very local grassroots church plant that isn't Elim. So me and Natasha are the only Elim missionaries in Japan, and our goal there was to just encourage the church. The church in Japan is only about maybe 500,000 Japanese people, about 1 million in total, but 500,000 Japanese people. And yeah, what we did do was give up everything we knew, life as we knew it 2 years ago, to live in Tokyo. So I was a youth pastor in Birmingham, and my lovely wife was a hairdresser. She had a hairdressing business for about 15 years, and she gave it up, all to go across the world and see more disciples made for Jesus in Japan. And yeah, the big question, why Japan?
Yeah.
So it's a big question. Why not Japan? Is the answer I will normally give. Japan was laid on my heart about 16 years ago, so about 2011. And since then, it's been a journey. from, between getting married to Tash, to being in ministry, being in youth ministry. But my heart broke for the Japanese people when I went on my first missions trip in 2011. And I was handing out tracts, that kind of stuff. I was doing a Mums and Tots group. I was doing an English, English teaching in the church as well. But I didn't really have a heart whilst I was there. But I think it was like the last day, the very, very last day, that the Lord just broke my heart for how much they don't have Jesus, how much the whole country doesn't have the joy that I have. I love worshiping Jesus. I know that I have a father and a carer and a provider, but most of the nation does not know that and does not have that. And so from then on, God just said, you're coming back, and then called Natasha as well. So there was another side to the story, another half to the story that maybe Tasha can tell.
Yeah, so it wasn't as easy for me.
No.
I didn't have a heart for Japan right away. In fact, actually, Japan was one place I really never wanted to go to. It was very unusual, I think, for me. I just didn't have a desire to go. But then, when myself and Jordan met, one of the things Jordan said to me, as a new Christian, by the way, he said, "Oh, Tash, I'm called to Japan." And I was like, "Oh, great. Sounds fantastic." But I didn't understand what that meant.
You thought it meant holiday.
I thought it meant you might be going to Japan a few times. That sounds all right. But in my ignorance, I guess the further things progressed, the more it became a little bit more real. So I think it was in 2017, we decided to take a trip to Japan because I was struggling to understand how you can decide to go to a different country and let go of everything you know for people that you don't. So we went there and we were both praying that God spoke to me, and similarly, the very last day, He gave me a vision which actually, again, broke my heart for the people. It wasn't necessarily the place for me. I'm not really into Japanese things or food or culture too much, but...
Senbei.
Yes. I'm not into all of that, but actually the people, there was something about the people that God gave me this vision that I just couldn't turn away from that. So when we came back to the UK, we were very much both on the same page about going back, and we spent a couple of years trying to be active in how to plan for that, and then we did.
The first time I met Natasha and Jordan, I didn't really meet them. They were talking at a leaders gathering a couple of years ago in Loughborough, I think it was, in Leicestershire. And what struck me was when they say they gave up everything, they were selling their car. They stood up. I remember Jordan standing up and he'd been given this time to talk about his trip. And then at the end he added an advert. I have a nice car. And literally they were selling everything to raise the funds to go to Japan. Elim Missions is strange in the sense of, well, not strange, these guys have to raise the money. They don't get given money to go. Elim don't have a big pot and say, here, I'll go off to Japan and plant missions. They need supporting, and we'll talk a bit about that in a few moments. You said that about 500,000 Japanese people are Christian. What is the predominant faith religion in Japan?
The dominant faith or religion you can see on the slide there, there's a slide there, is Buddhism. They also have their own kind of religion which is called Shintoism. And if you know about Buddhism, if you don't know about Buddhism, it's the Buddha that they kind of worship, or they don't believe in an afterlife where you go to heaven. It's more you go to the perfect place. And with Shintoism, it's pretty much the same thing, but they also believe in reincarnation in that sense as well. And so that dominates the culture, families, everything. And it's talked about that there's 3 stages, religious stages of a Japanese person's life. So born Shinto, so that's their religion as soon as they come out of the room. They get married Christian because it's actually very trendy. Have a white Western wedding, and then they die Buddhist so that they can come back as something else. Yeah, so that's their dominant belief. They also are very materialistic, so you can imagine when you're scrolling on Instagram and you see something Tokyo, a lot of it's about shopping, a lot of it's about other things, worldly things. So yeah, that's the dominant religion in Japan. Yeah.
And so, I would imagine learning, I mean, I have enough trouble speaking English, so how has it been learning Japanese? And perhaps, and I'm putting you on the spot, can you teach us to say hello in Japanese? You must know. You know how to say hello in Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, we spent 2 years there and didn't know how to say hello. We'd be a lot.
You'd be in trouble.
Yeah. So the language, I know more than Natasha, so I felt like God was preparing me kind of at the point at which I went to Japan for the first time, so I learned some Japanese. So we're actually trying our hardest to just stick with Duolingo at the moment, but we do have bigger plans. We believe God wants us to do more in terms of language. In terms of saying hello, do you want to do it? Do you want to do it?
So, konnichiwa.
Yeah.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
So everybody went, let's all say hello in Japanese. Konnichiwa. Excellent. Excellent. So now when we all go on our mission trip, no, it's okay. So excellent. So besides the language, what are some of the biggest differences between your life in Birmingham and living in Tokyo now?
Everything.
What is the temperature like? Is it like always warm?
Oh, the seasons are extreme. So the heat is very, very, very hot, and the winter is very cold.
Didn't you say they have no central heating? Was that what you said?
No.
Yeah,
We did say that yesterday. They have no central heating. It's all air conditioning, so the heat's air conditioning, the cool air conditioning. And that is because it's a country that's prone to earthquakes.
Okay.
And so if the buildings go and there's central heating, it's all that. So yeah, the temperature this kind of time of year is about...
I think it's 37 at the moment.
Is it 37?
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the way as well that you just kind of threw into the conversation they're prone to earthquakes.
They are. I think in the news, especially around 2011 actually, there was a really big tsunami and earthquake, if anyone remembers that. But every other week there's an earthquake here or there, like every few days even.
Have you had to like dive under tables or anything yet?
And when you say earthquake, they're not like...
It almost feels like a little tremor. You know that something's going on and you can feel things shaking.
Okay. At which point that would be me shaking, I'm just saying.
We've been in one pretty major earthquake a couple of years ago. We didn't have to dive under a table, but it was our first experience, and we were on the 9th floor, and we felt the whole building just...
Yeah, we saw the water go first.
Yeah.
And then,
Lord, not Japan. Not Japan. Anywhere, no spiders, snakes, earthquakes. Okay, adding to the list. So, can you tell us what God has been doing through you guys? I know you've shared a little bit about some of the stuff you've done, but what is, over the last couple of years, maybe one of the two of the highlights for you in your work as missionaries out there?
This is a slide of the media team, actually, that by God's grace kind of put together. So at the very front is the pastor. To your right is his wife, Lady Jackie. And yeah, just developing the media team has really helped the church grow, even by a little bit. And now they're pretty much a family, so like we love seeing the body of Christ come together for the glory of God. I mean, another small story is seeing an elderly gentleman just smile at us as one of our neighbours. We walk down this same road every day, to get to the church, and it's to the train station. He has an allotment next to his house. In Japanese culture, it's actually very difficult to, integrate as a foreigner, but also interact with your neighbors, because everyone can be like, let's keep to ourselves. Harmony or social harmony is very important. And so what we did do was pray, Lord, would you open a door? And every morning we'd walk past and we'd bow and we'd say, good morning in Japanese. And every morning he would just give us this really stern face of just like, I don't want to speak to you. And even so, we just kept going every morning. And then eventually one morning, he did just smile. He just stood up, smiled at us. We haven't got a hello or a good morning yet, but we are praying for a little bit more of an interaction thereafter. So yeah, it can be a little bit difficult outside of the church. Inside the church we've done some stuff, but I think that's just another story.
So as Jordan mentioned, that's just kind of like a little bit of insight into the culture. One of the real big struggles in Japan is it's one of the countries that has one of the highest rates of suicide. You wouldn't really be able to tell, unless you were looking into it, you wouldn't really be able to tell because the country looks so polished. There's so much order, it's very well manicured. That's the context for this little story that I've got, and actually, as part of the church, the pastor was gracious enough to say, Natasha, can you start a counselling ministry within the church? So I've been meeting with a number of people, and there was one lady in particular. She's in her kind of late 60s, and after a number of sessions, she'd disclosed to me that her husband had passed away. In this conversation, she then said, well, I don't have a reason to live now. I don't have a purpose, and to be completely transparent, she was ready to end her life that day. She'd planned it very meticulously. So when I was sitting in this cafe with her, hearing her plans, I felt so ill-equipped. I said, Lord, what do I do? What do I say? And the Lord dropped. He dropped this into my spirit. He said, Tash, ask her what brings her joy. And it was such a bizarre thing for me to hear. That's how I knew it wasn't from me. It was such a bizarre thing for me to hear, because I thought, she's just spoken to me about all of these plans she's got to be with you, and you've just asked me about asking her about her joy. So it took me a minute to say, and I said it. And her face just changed instantly. She started talking about calligraphy. And she was so passionate about calligraphy. And she also started talking about small poems. They have a thing in Japan where it's called haiku, which is just writing small, very small poems. And we spent 3 hours talking about calligraphy and haiku. And by the end of the session, only by his strength and his grace and his power, nothing to do with me, I was just there. She said, Natasha, thank you so much, because now I can live. I've got a reason to live. And since then, since we've been meeting, she is a different person. She's so happy. She's found purpose. She submits her poems to local councils. She's part of a calligraphy group. She meets with these members weekly. And to be a part of that story for me was such a humbling process. So even though I felt ill-equipped, God was there. Yeah.
Has there been a passage of scripture that has been carrying you guys through whilst you've been on this adventure?
Yes, there has. Psalm 23, which is one of our favourite psalms. I would think that a lot of people know it. I would think that a lot of people are very familiar with Psalm 23. We've had a lot of highs and lows since we've been in Japan. Yes, one of them has been, we miss the local food, or we miss our friends and family. We miss all the things that we know. It's difficult to understand the language. To operate a washing machine takes 2 hours.
It takes 2 hours for me.
Just the simple things. But and even in the joys of seeing some fruit, even though we didn't think we would see some fruit right, in these past 2 years. In Psalms 23, when he says, "For you are with me," we've just seen that, that you, the Lord, when he says that you are with me, because you are with me. That's when everything changes. That's what matters. And in the lows, in the valleys, it's him, it's his presence that changes things, it changes our outlook, it gives us comfort. And in the highs as well, it's the fact that God has been with us in these stories that, again, that's the only reason why we can see through. It's because his presence is with us. And so I'd encourage you all as well, hold on to that same thing. It's that God is with us. That's why he came down, that's why he gave up his life, so that he could be with us and make all the difference. So that's definitely carried us through the 2 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, if someone is sat here today and they're thinking that they may have a calling to go on a mission trip, how would you recommend they decide whether that is a call to go on a mission trip or maybe just a holiday? What would be your advice to discerning whether you're called to Japan, Paraguay, wherever, or it's just God suggesting your next holiday destination?
I mean, a holiday is a holiday and mission is work.
Yeah.
Mission is hard work.
Hard work.
So I think, thinking back to my personal experience, I had to develop a heart for the people. I had to walk with God to understand what that is, and not necessarily about the place itself, but I feel like God had to break my heart for Japanese people, because it's the people that we're there for. And I think if you feel called to a particular place, pray into the people in that place, or pray for the people in that place. Does it break your heart that they don't know Jesus? Are you willing to sacrifice everything to go to them, to be with them, to do life with them? Are you willing to grieve every day? Because it's a process. Letting go of a life that you know for the people in a different place that you don't know. So really pray into that and seek counsel about that is one thing I would say.
Yeah, and I would also say, if you do feel like you do have a calling, does it stand the test of time? So it was in 2011 when I first was called, but it was only 2 years ago that I went. And that call to Japan never left us when we did feel the call. If it is a holiday, it's normally, I just want to go. But if it's a calling, it's like, I want to go back. And I want to go back, and I want to see the people saved, and I want to go back. So does it stand the test of time? And it's also about God's timing, in that council. Is it the right? It's never really the right time. It's like saying, having kids or getting married. It's never the right time, but what's God's timing on it all? Yes, that's the thing I look out for as well.
Excellent, thank you. One of the things there's a couple of things that we do here at Living Springs with regards to missions, and one thing that we'd really like to do, we're passionate about supporting Elim Missions, and one of the things that we do as a church is that we set aside 10% of our giving. We give back into Elim Missions. We do that by supporting missionaries, and so we split that amount each month between Jordan and Natasha and John and Rachel in Paraguay. And we're committed to doing that as we grow as a church. We want to keep giving away 10% of what we get given, what comes in as donations to the church, we give away, and we're really pleased to do that. But also, you can support Jordan and Natasha and John and Rachel directly, and I've got some of forms here that you can get after the service. They're the forms that for small users. What do they do with that form? Because I realised I printed them out. They're a direct debit form, and then I don't know what to do with it when I've got it.
Okay, well, just so you know, Pastor Adam, so at the end of the form is the address, so just send it back to Elim HQ,
Okay.
and you can either give it back to Pastor, or you can send it off yourself, but I'd say just collect them already and send them off to Elim HQ.
So we'll have them there. So if you want to give directly through Elim Missions, you can do that. Alternatively, we do have a few people in the church that have given directly into the church and asked us to pass that on to Elim Missions on their behalf, so we can do that for you as well. So we're very keen to continue to do that. One of the other things that we want to do is we want to find somebody in the church that is really passionate about international missions and become our missions champion. And so if that is you, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I may not want to go on an international mission, or I might not feel called to a particular country, but I'm passionate about keeping the church informed, about liaising with our missionaries and all of those things, can you come and see me afterwards and we'll have a conversation about it, because we really do want to bring somebody in who's going to be passionate. I'm passionate, I really love trying to, but I'm terrible at having the time to stay in touch with everybody. So we're really, really keen to be able to find that person in the church. And I am in awe of our missionaries. Wherever they go, Japan maybe doesn't sound as difficult and challenging as some places, but it's challenging on different levels. Expensive, culturally a lot different, and things like that. So there are lots of different things, and I am in awe of Natasha and Jordan for giving up their life in the UK. And when I moved from Corby to Cannock, I felt that was quite far. That was only 75 miles. How far is it to Japan from here?
Just over 6,000 miles.
Yeah, just a little hop on the motorway. 6,000. How long does it take on a plane?
13 hours.
13 hours.
13 hours, yeah.
God, do you get extra leg room, or are they really like...
No, you don't. No.
Ooh, I'm not going to visit. So I am in awe of these guys, and I'm going to invite Rob